United States and the Iranian-backed Houthis carried out separate attacks on shipping vessels near the Strait of Hormuz. Now, before the war began, about 130 ships per day moved through that waterway. According to Reuters, only 8 ships traversed the strait within the past week, marking a new low. Joining me now, CBS News contributor H.R. McMaster. He was one of 4 national security advisors to President Trump during his first administration. HR, we'll get to the Strait of Hormuz in a second, but I've got to ask you about the Air Force One misdirection story. You've flown on Air Force One many times. You have a keen understanding of national security threats flying in and out of sensitive areas of the world. How do you evaluate the evasive maneuvers the Secret Service ordered the president to take, and those who flew with the president and those who were stuck on the decoy Air Force One?
Yeah. Hey, Major. Well, it seemed like the system worked to me in terms of protecting the president. There was a clear connection between the Secret Service and the intelligence agencies that gave the president, I'm sure, the heads up, or Secret Service the heads up. It's clear that the Iranians are trying to kill him. This isn't a secret that they've tried to get others to kill him in the past. They've released, the RGC released a video, a pattern of life video on the First Lady and the president's son Barron. So I think that the system worked in this case in terms of the handoff, and I think we just have to remain vigilant because Iran does have a pretty extensive terrorist network, sleeper cell network, especially in Europe, where they've conducted many assassinations over the years, Major. So I think the concern was the location, that he was in Europe. And these credible threats, maybe involving a shoulder fired air defense weapon system of some kind.
Does that speak to residual Iranian capabilities that have not been, to use the phrase the president frequently uses, decimated?
Well, this is a terrorist network. They've got all sorts of capabilities that they've been using since 1979. And I think what they are is in a position of profound weakness at this stage. Major, what I see them doing with the Houthis, for example, trying to mobilize the Iraqi militias, and now the Iraqi government really taking that problem on, trying to reinvigorate and reconstitute Hezbollah, but having a hard time there. Hamas has been unable to gain any more traction. So I think they're in a real position of weakness, and they're grasping at anything that they can. And they believe, I think, largely because they're watching, reporting in the U.S., reporting about, the popularity of the war, the unpopularity of the war. They think they can break President Trump's will, with these attacks on the Strait, with the various threats against him, and now affecting shipping in the Bab el-Mandeb as well.
So the president said today on social media that we have, meaning the United States, total control over the Strait of Hormuz. Quote, "I think we will keep it." That's not a serious idea, is it, HR?
I think it is if he has the will to do it, Major, but of course that wouldn't be without risk or cost to do it. I think what he might be talking about is the ability to deny Iran exports and imports, through the strait, and that's having a big effect on the Iranian economy. And I think what you have is the Iranians at this stage thinking they can break President Trump's will because the unpopularity of the war, with the midterms coming up. And then you have, I think, President Trump endeavoring to kind of choke the regime out financially. And there have been a number of other measures taken that I think indicate that strategy might work. Not only the blockade itself, but a lot more extensive financial actions going after banks and other institutions with secondary sanctions that are moving money for the Iranians. And for a long time, Major, there were those in the Emirates and in Qatar. They thought, hey, the best way to protect ourselves against Iranian aggression is to be their bankers, to help them with their cash flows. Well, how did that work out? It didn't work out. So they're losing that capability as well. We also were able to gain control of a lot of Bitcoin that they were moving around. All these senior officials, who portray themselves as, pious Islamists, are really criminals. And so we're going after a lot of their offshore bank accounts. And this is a campaign that I think has the chance of success in terms of restricting Iran's ability to project power outside of its borders, and in particular, reconstitute its terrorist organizations. And I hope that President Trump sticks with it.
H.R. McMaster, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.